Hi, everybody. I hope this finds you well and as happy as you can be under the circumstances, hopefully taking advantage of the circumstances. So I'm going to do a half-hour little kind of fundamental program. So I just wanted to go through some of the more simple moves of Pilates, or not simple. Let's just stick with the word fundamental. All you're going to need, which hopefully you have at home, and if you don't, we'll try and talk about some different options, is a mat, or I think for today, just one mat. If you're on carpet, that's fine. Maybe just put down a blanket. It'd be nice to have something where your feet are a little bit sticky, or you have at least some traction. Ideally no shoes if you can. I also have a towel here, and what I've done is just an older towel that I folded in half and then just did a little tri-fold and then did a tighter roll from there for those that don't have blocks and probably don't have a squishy ball. So we just have a nice tight roll, something between squishy ball and block available for us. And there's no retakes, bear with me. It's gonna be just like a regular class on Monday morning, and let's go ahead and get started. So we'll start with just standing, kind of getting a sense of where our feet are in space. So we can think about either those four corners of the feet that we sometimes hear about in yoga, or maybe you even think about an internal adjustment to find the centers of the heel and the balls of the feet. So any internal movements, and then see how that shifts through the knees, through the hips, through the spine. And then we also want to think about letting the hands be heavy, palms facing the sides of the body, and thinking about shoulder points reaching out so we stay broad through the front of the chest and broad through the back. Lifting up through the crown of the head, not the forehead or the chin, but letting that chin soften down, letting the back of the spine lengthen up a little bit more. We'll just take an inhale here. And as we exhale, think about the navel softening back. Think about the back meeting the front. Maybe even finding those sits bones drawing together, seeing if you can engage those pelvic floor muscles, a little bit more engagement into the feet, and one more time lifting up through the crown of the head, moving into our roll down. Inhale, and with the exhale, chin drops into the chest, and allowing the head to be heavy here and the arms to simply hang from the sockets. Keeping that awareness into the feet. With our first roll down, you may wish to find a little bend in the knees. Know that if you have back issues, you're welcome to do this from a wall. We'll take a few inhale and exhales here. Just reconnect with the feet. Letting the head, neck, and shoulders hang a little more heavy, allowing the spine to decompress. And with your next exhale, draw that navel deeply back towards the spine. Press gently into the feet as we simultaneously begin to lengthen through the legs and uncurl and restack one bone at a time. I'll do that one more time. Inhaling and exhaling, chin dropping into the chest. Allow the head to draw the spine forward as you draw the navel back. Ribs soften back. Palms still gently facing one another as if they were by the sides of the body. Taking a deep inhale here. See if you can let the navel float back on your inhale and draw the breath into the side lungs. As you exhale, draw the navel back even deeper. Keep connecting into that center point, into the four corners. And lifting up through the tip of the head as we draw all the way up. Okay, we'll take a little step towards the front or to the side of our mat. Inhaling, we'll take one roll down. Again, allowing that head to draw the spine forward, one bone at a time, as the abdominals support that release forward. And we'll plant those hands. Let's just begin walking back. We're just going to take a quick up stretch, not really a basic move here. And allow the palms to press and connect into the mat. Let's all inhale, draw up onto the balls of the feet. Exhale, release one heel down, draw the ribs in, navel back. Inhale, reaching up, and exhale, bend that right leg, left heel sinking down and back. Inhale one more time. Exhale, lengthen. Inhale, reaching up. And exhale, sink that heel back. Maybe walk the feet up if you need. And then walking both feet up just about halfway. Let's exhale, sink the hips down towards the heels. Draw the hands behind and release down onto the mat. So this isn't a basic movement we're about to go into, but I want to do it just to help open up the ribs and the spine just a touch before we move forward. So legs ideally are together. If you need to, take those legs hip distance or maybe even a little bit wider, especially if you're having a hard time sitting up on those sits bones. Consider taking an extra towel to set it underneath your hips, or maybe even a little something underneath your knees to allow yourself to draw up. And of course, being careful for those that tend to overarch. We want to stay right on top of those sits bones. So we're going to take a moment and just think about how we can stabilize one part of our body and move the other. This will help us move into those fundamental movements. So we'll sink, or imagine you're kind of anchoring your hips bone down, anchoring the leg bones. We're still anchoring the heels and the toes are drawing up. Finding that nice long spine, maybe start thinking about those transverse abdominis drawing in, so sides of the body drawing in. So we find this zipping up and lengthening from the tailbone up through the tip of the head. We get that really long spine. We'll draw those arms out to the sides and then take the palms up towards the ceiling. Inhale, fill the chest. As we exhale, rotate. Keep the chin in alignment with the chest and wring your breath out. Allow your inhale to fill both lungs and draw you back through center. And exhale. Filling the lungs, drawing you back through center, exhaling. That should be a comfortable movement, nothing strained. Inhaling, drawing you back through center. Keep reaching your fingertips out towards the sides of the room. One more time, exhaling. Let the breath open and exhale. Just kidding, one more time each side. And now for sure, last time. Really wring that breath out. Let that gentle inhale draw you back through center. Lengthen the arms down and then draw them forward. So another concept here of finding connection, but then allowing for space through the joints. So I want you to imagine you're drawing your upper arm bone into the arm socket, but then you're lengthening through your fingertips. So we get this sense of connection, but then having space in the joints. We're going to take a little bit of spine stretch just to open up through the back before we move into pelvic curl. So we'll take that inhale, lift up through the crown of the head. As we exhale, I want you to imagine there's a band from the top of the hips through that bra strap. So that's pulling you back as you begin reaching forward. We inhale, no movement. Let that breath draw into the side lungs in the back. As you take that navel back, sink the legs, sink the bones. Exhale. Draw and peel yourself back onto that imaginary wall behind you. Inhaling, lift up through the crown of the head. Sink your hip bones, sink the leg bones. Exhale. Find this drawing back, even as you try and reach forward. Keep those arm bones connected, but with space. Inhale and exhale. Navel draws back even deeper, and repeel yourself one bone at a time all the way up to the head. And drawing feet onto the mat. Let's scoot our hips forward just a touch. We'll take hands behind the back of the legs. Exhale. We want to try and find that navel sinking back. Tailbone melting into the mat. Keep the shoulders drawing down and back. And then we release lower spine, middle, and then upper. And here I'd like to have you consider opening up the arm, taking an external rotation, letting the palms draw up, gently reaching the fingertips down towards the toes, letting the arm come down, and then simply turning the palm over towards the mat. And same thing on the other side. And we'll probably draw those feet in just a touch. We still want a little bit of space between the hips and the heels. We want to think about that hip distance between the feet and take just a moment to find those four corners of each feet, or try and find that internal shifting to come onto that center point of the feet. And here, inhaling, no movement. With our exhale, navel draws back. We aim our tailbone up towards the knees, and we start lifting hips, lifting spine, one bone at a time, all the way up to the shoulders. I want you to imagine you've got a weighted blanket through the fronts of the arms, the shoulders, and maybe even these ribs here. We inhale, no movement, keep this weighted. Let the breath come out to the sides and the back. Exhale, soften one bone down at a time. Reverse of how we came up. So upper, middle, lower tailbone is the last to come in. Inhaling and exhaling. Navel back. Find your feet, reach your tailbone, aim it right out between the knees as we draw the hips up, spine up. Let the back of the neck be long, front of the throat soft, shoulders, arms heavy. Inhale, no movement. And exhaling, imagine you're a ball of pizza dough and someone's kind of rolling you back down into your mat, one bone at a time. Inhaling, we'll do that 2 more times. Exhale. And we also want to, as we continue to move through this half hour and any other Pilates really, is that we have effort. And let's exhale, soften back down. But we want to ultimately reach for a sense of effortlessness. It's kind of that sense of yoga where you have engagement, you have effort, but then you still have that sense of repose. We're going back up one more time, making sure if you need to glance down, that you see those knees in alignment with the hips, in alignment with the heels. We're going to stay here for just a moment. Draw those fingertips up towards the ceiling and let your shoulder blades sink back and reconnect. We'll keep those shoulder blades there. Let the arms draw overhead. And then in your mind, this is an internal sensation, let your hips gently float towards the knees. Taking that next exhale. Inhale, keep the navel softened back towards the spine. Exhale, slowly draw the spine down and the arms at the same time, keeping those shoulder blades heavy. Nice. We'll go ahead and bring those arms to a T position. We want to have that same sense of shoulder blades just heavy and sinking back into the mat. Palms are facing up. We're going to do a modified version first. Let's heel toe the feet together and give a nice squeeze between those legs. So those inner leg muscles or adductors are going to be our leg glue for a moment. We'll then inhale, keep those knees together, keep the inner legs squeezing together, drawing up onto the edge of our left foot with our inhale. The feet stay together, that right foot draws up. As we exhale, begin drawing the navel back and re-sticking the spine back through center as you draw the legs back through. Inhaling, dropping over to the side, opposite side. Exhale, navel back, drawing through center. We'll do that 2 more times. This is a modified version of spine twist, supine position. 1 more time to the other side. Continuing to find those shoulder blades. This is the same feeling we want as we move into that full expression of the posture. So we'll draw right leg up into tabletop, shin is parallel to the mat, and draw the left leg up to meet it. For some, having those knees directly over the hips can be maybe a little bit straining on upper head, neck, shoulders, maybe a little bit straining through the low back. Maybe it's okay. Consider drawing the knees back towards the head, just an inch or two to take the work back into those abdominals and out of that back. We'll take that similar movement, but make sure those shoulders stay glued down and back. We inhale and make sure we have that adductor glue between the legs and knees stay together. With our exhale, and drawing back through center. Inhaling. I want to imagine we still have that weighted blanket over our ribs so that we keep that spine, even though it's rotating through the waist, we keep those ribs gently softening back, so we keep any arching that may happen out of the spine. And we'll take that 1 more time. So here we're finding this stabilization through the upper body, shoulders, head, neck, arms, as we rotate through the waist, and we find that movement through the hips and legs as one unit. I'm going to go ahead and set the right foot down, set the left foot down. Let's draw those arms overhead and give yourself a nice little reach for a moment. And then clasp the hands, set them behind the back of the head, moving into chest lift. So here we're going to stabilize lower hips and legs, and we'll find this movement through the upper body. And taking a moment to just feel what it's like to have the elbows out to the side. Feel where your shoulder blades are. Then we're going to lift our elbows just an inch, maybe 2. I want you to see if you can glide your shoulder blades down the back of the rib cage just a touch and allow those ribs to soften back towards the spine. And then we release. My tendency is my ribs going ahead and pop open, and then I also feel some jamming between my shoulder blades. So just consider that perhaps raising those elbows just an inch or so can help you lengthen the shoulder blades away from the ears and allow those ribs to soften back. So we find that nice long neutral spine. Keeping hips in neutral, so hip bones and pubic bone, try to stay parallel to the ground. So no over tucking, no overly arching through that mat. Just nice long length through the spine. Inhaling, no movement. As we exhale, try and find your belly button sinking back. We'll take that moment, draw the sides of the body in, and then with that last half of your exhale, draw head, neck, and shoulders, trying to draw the gaze up onto the thighs. Inhaling, try and keep the navel drawing back, taking the breath through the side lungs and the back. And exhaling, take a moment, let your belly button sink back, let the sides draw in, and then lengthen your head, neck, and shoulders away from those hips. Inhale, no movement. And exhale, take that moment for engagement through the abdominals. Begin drawing head, neck, and shoulders up. I obviously have not been good about keeping my Pilates practice. I'm shaking, doing a chest lift. Inhale and exhale. Navel back, sides draw in, and then find that length through the spine. Inhaling and exhaling, peeling up. So we're trying to stay away from this use of the hands and the arms to shove the head forward rather than finding the abdominals to strengthen and draw this upper part of the body up. So we're going to take the next few breaths and just inhale, release halfway back. Imagine your head is just softening back into your hands that are clasped, like your head is softening back into a cloud. With our exhale, navel draws back, and I'm shaking again. Draw yourself up. Inhale, allow the hands to support the head, but with our exhale, we use the abdominals to draw that upper body up. Inhale, releasing back, and exhale, drawing up. Inhale, float the head back. Allow the hands to support. With your exhale, use those abdominals to draw the upper body into that chest lift. One last time. Inhaling and exhaling. We'll inhale, hold. Exhale, let that navel draw back, sides draw in, and lengthen head, neck, and shoulders back. Great. So also recognizing that some of you may be going faster, some of you may be going slower. I'm obviously blah, blah, blahing. So if you need to be a little bit more productive or move, and know that my breath pattern may be confusing, and you may just want to forget what I'm saying entirely with regards to the breath, and simply breathe as we move through these. Eventually, the breath pattern will start clicking and making sense. So moving into chest lift with rotation, we'll inhale, no movement. As we exhale, let's draw up through center. Still keeping lower hips stabilized. Now we're going to be rotating through the waist, but we'll be moving our upper body like that doorknob. Inhale, and then as we exhale, rotating over to the left. Making sure that your hips stay sunk and that the same distance between the hips and the shoulders remains. Inhale, draw up through center, and exhale, take a moment, sink the hips, and then rotate. Inhale, draw up through center. Exhale, rotating over. Keep those hips squared. Keep them heavy. Inhale, drawing up through center. Exhale, take that moment, stabilize the hips, and rotate. Inhale, drawing up. Exhale, rotating over to the left. We're going to take just a little bit of an extra reach with our right shoulder towards our left hip. Make sure you didn't see it, but it was subtle. My right hip just lifted up. I'm going to show you a big example. So know that as you take that little reach, you keep those hips sinking. Inhale, draw up through center. Exhale, rotate. Little extra reach. Inhale, draw up through center. Exhale, rotate. Little reach. Sink those hips. Keep them sinking and stable. Inhale through center. Exhale, rotate. Little reach. Working a little bit deeper into those obliques. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, let your navel draw back. Sides draw in. Lengthen head, neck, and shoulders away from the hips. Beautiful job, you guys. And here, moving into 100 prep. So this is a nice option to take if you find that someone's doing hundreds through a class and you're like, I just simply can't do that. This is a nice movement to take, and you can also modify the hundreds in this position. So drawing right leg back up into tabletop, knee over hip, shin parallel, drawing the left leg up to meet it. We're going to draw those arms overhead. Actually, let's take the fingertips up towards the ceiling and sink those shoulder blades back. And then as we release the arms overhead, I want you to exhale and let your ribs soften back. Find that weighted blanket across the rib cage. Oops, that's my tea in case I talk too much, my throat gets sore. Dun, dun, dun. All right, back into tabletop, arms overhead, ribs weighted, spine connected. I want you to let your belly button draw back and maybe feel a little bit more connection through the low spine here. We exhale, arms reach up, then head, neck, and shoulders draw up with that press, exhaling. With our inhale, release and lengthen back down. Keep your navel drawing back with your inhale. Exhaling. And releasing back. Exhale. Keep your shoulders heavy. Inhale, release back. Feel your hips equal, stable, connecting into that mat. Inhale, releasing back. Exhaling. Keep those ribs heavy and weighted. I just lost mine on the last one if you were watching. Hopefully not. Do as I say, not as I do. Hopefully you're feeling this. Last time here, keep the shoulders weighted. Head, neck, shoulders draw up as one beautiful unit. Inhale and release back. We're going to set our left foot down, take the hands, clasp them behind the back of the thigh. This is where if you have a hand towel or maybe you have a strap or maybe you have a TheraBand, you're welcome to use that. But I'm doing this with the intention that maybe a lot of us don't have any props. So we'll just take the hands, clasp behind wherever we can draw that leg in. We'll start with this left leg bent. Allow your tailbone to drop into the mat rather than picking it up. And I also want you to think about those hips nice and squared. So keep this length between your hip and your shoulder. Letting the thigh drop in towards the chest as it's comfortable. With our next exhale, I want you to draw the navel back. And we're going to start shooting that heel up towards the ceiling. Keep your tailbone lengthening away from the tip of the head. Release the leg away as you need to draw the heel up and the toes back. We inhale and exhale. Try and keep the thigh into the chest as you can. Release a little bit to straighten the leg. And of course, some of you may wish to lengthen the other leg out. Here, if you can, wherever you may be, we're going to take a point and flex. Just get a nice movement through those ankles. Make sure that shoulders, elbows are heavy, if the arms are bent. And let's take 2 circles in one direction. It should feel fabulous. Want to keep those ankles and calves healthy and moving. And bend that leg, draw the left leg in, set the right foot down. We move into the other side. Again, lengthening that tailbone away from the tip of the head, hips squared. Let the thigh drop into the chest, elbows, shoulders heavy. We exhale, navel draws back. And try and keep that thigh there, reaching the heel up, and the toes draw towards the face. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling, maybe you eventually lengthen that leg out, maybe not. From here, we take a point and flex. Continue to let that navel sink back with your exhales. Shoulders, elbows heavy, front of the throat soft, back of the head, back of the neck sinks into the ground. Let's take a few circles in one direction, few circles in the other. And we'll set that left foot down, draw the right leg in. We're going to be moving into leg circles. And we'll let those arms draw out to that T position. Shoulders sink back, arms sink back, palms facing up. Reach that right foot up to the ceiling. Hopefully we're nice and long through the back of those hamstrings now. Flexed foot. If you need to, especially if those hamstrings are tight, you can take this movement with both legs bent. Intention here is that now we want the whole of the body stabilized except for this right leg. So we'll inhale, draw the leg through to the inside, maybe a big circle, maybe a tiny circle. This is my challenged leg, so I'm doing small circles. And then we exhale, continue that circle in the same direction. With your inhale, take that breath into the side lungs in the back. Connect the back of the body to the ground. As you exhale, sink that navel back. Sink the shoulders, sink the back of the head. Draw the back of your left leg down and in. Sink your leg bones, sink those hip bones. Last time to the inside, and then we reverse, inhaling, and down and around, and exhaling. You're welcome to go a little bit faster, a little bit bigger, a little bit slower, a little bit smaller. Find where you need to be, keep the head stable. And I think this is the last one. I don't know. We'll set that right foot down, draw the left leg up, go ahead and reach that heel up towards the ceiling. If you can, lengthen the right leg away. Take a moment, sink the bones, hips, legs, shoulder, weight a blanket across those ribs and across shoulders and arms. Inhaling and exhaling. Keep sinking. I'm moving all over the place like a little sailboat in a storm, but we just do the best that we can. Inhaling, 2 more. Keep finding that breath. And inhale to the outside. Keep sinking that rest of the body. Find the back of the body with your inhale. And sink with that exhale. Beautiful. We'll draw the right leg up, draw the left leg down. And I think we should just take a little moment, drawing legs into the chest, wrap the arms around the shins if you can. And now we're going to sink the 4 points, right? Hips, shoulders, spine. Take that nice inhale. Try and reach it down to your hips, up to your collarbones. Exhale, let the shoulders, hips, spine melt back into the ground. And releasing legs, we're going to come onto the side for a little bit of side work. This is where having a towel or two underneath the head can be beneficial. So just like that, get yourself nice and comfy. So the bottom arm is lengthened out, again, palm facing up. I like to come into just a slight little bit of a banana shape that helps me draw into the abdominals a little bit more and away from my low back and back, which loves to do all the work for me. Go ahead and point through the feet, and we're going to try and take a little peek. Make sure that that top hip is stacked, and you're welcome to find a kickstand. Just make sure that we don't want to have too much pressure into that arm, that we want the trunk of the body to do the work. So maybe a little kickstand, or you're welcome to find that arm there. For some of you, this is painful underneath that bottom hip. Go ahead and grab that extra towel, set it underneath. Here we inhale, and with our exhale, draw up a little bit higher. Inhale, release down. Inhale, float down. Exhale, try and find that little bit of engagement first, and then draw up. Take that navel back, draw the sides in, then find that stability through the trunk of the body to let those legs come up. Squeeze the legs together a little bit, so rather than lifting one leg or the other, we want to lift both. So even if you just lift up a touch, inhale, float down, find that bottom oblique working. That's fine. Try and let head, neck, and shoulders relax. Mine like to tense up, so just keep relaxing them. And last time, inhale, float them all the way down. Bend the legs, let your top leg sink down behind the bottom for just a moment. Maybe draw that arm overhead and clasp and give yourself a little reach. And we'll use that top hand, give a little press up. Top leg comes on top of the bottom one, up and over. We'll lengthen onto that other side. Arm straight, palm up, towel or two between the arm and the head for a little bit of support. Give yourself that little bit of a banana shape if you need it. Some of you may not, I do. Point through the feet. Take a moment here, inhaling. Exhale, find that navel drawing back. Find that work through the trunk, and then inhale, float down. Exhale, draw up. And making sure to try and let there be enough space between shoulder and neck here, especially if you're using that kickstand. In your mind, or maybe you've got a Pilates buddy, you can alternate. Make sure that you see that top hip stays stacked. Tendency is that it likes to either draw forward or float back. And I think 2 more times. As long as it's not 50 on one side and 10 on the other. Let's draw the knees in a touch. Let that top knee sink down behind the bottom one. Maybe reach it away from you to the opposite side. We can clasp that hand, draw it overhead. Give yourself a little bit of a stretch. And we'll reach that arm up. And I'm going to set the towels, just being mindful, I'm going to set them back on the other towel. We're going to come onto our bellies or in that prone position. I like to kind of dig the ball of my foot in, lift a little bit, and then see if I can just lengthen that front of my thigh away from my hip. And even kind of find a sense of walking my upper body away from the legs. Here we'll draw the arms down by the sides of the body. Forehead just lightly hovers above the mat. Here with the arms, we're going to have a little press in. And then we want to lengthen the fingertips down to reach the heels. Just a light draw of the back of the knees up towards the ceiling. A little bit of a gentle squeeze with those inner legs. We're going to sink our pubic bone, and then we're going to try and lift our belly button away from the mat. With our inhale, reach out through the tip of the head, lengthen through your toes, longest body yet. We draw the chest, let it float away from the mat. Find upper spine and middle spine activating. And exhale, lengthen your upper body away from your hips to tap gently down with your nose. Inhaling, drawing up. And exhale. Use that exhale to draw your navel back. Inhale. Keep it back even farther if you can. Exhale, sink that pubic bone. Reach the fingertips down, long space between ears and shoulders. Last 2 times, inhale, lengthen, press the arms in. Exhale. And exhale. Release down. Draw the hands up by the shoulders. Transitioning into rest position. You can keep the shins and knees and feet together, or if you'd like, you can take them out, hip distance or wider. I like to keep mine in. I'm going to walk my hands back, so I want to really press into my palms a little bit and sink my hips into my heels before even moving into this. Then just lengthening my chest, right? I've anchored my tailbone in between the feet, and then begin releasing the upper body over the thighs. Allow the forehead to sink into the mat. And even though we call this rest position, we still want to remain mentally active. Feeling the back of the spine opening up. We inhale, that breath expands through the side and back lungs. As we exhale, that navel just floats back towards the spine. And as you're ready, inhaling, finding knees and feet, hip distance, curling the toes under, maybe releasing the hands forward a little bit, pressing into the balls of the feet, hands equally. And I don't normally do Pilates with socks on, by the way, but it's a little bit colder in here, so that's what's going on. Normally I have bare feet. Just take a peek, make sure that your heels are directly behind your toes. Let's try and press through the palms and lift the hips up, navel draws back, and those ribs soften back towards the spine. And let's go ahead and, if you can, walk the feet up towards the hands. Maybe a light micro bend in the knees. With your inhale, try and draw your navel back, head, neck, shoulders just hanging heavy, head is nice and bobbly. With our exhale, draw your navel back deeper. Keep the mind connected into the feet. Rolling up one bone at a time. Shoulders broaden, chin releases from the chest. Super, you guys. Thank you so much. Again, I hope this all finds you well, and I have a bad feeling that was probably longer than 35 minutes. But hopefully you have a better sense of some of those more fundamental movements. Let me know if you have questions, of course. And please say hi. I miss all of you guys and look forward to today when we'll all be back in class together. Okay. Thank you, Trudy.